What did you do as a teenager that you will never tell your parents? I didn't do anything exciting, but I still wouldn't tell them anything. I got to level 120 today in Maple Story Mom. I found out later that I didn't have to tell them anything. They knew. I was kind of a pyro. Started a ton of fires that were more than a little scary. Thankfully nothing bad happened. Still, I will never whisper a word about it to them. Came in to say a similar thing, but they found my stash, so they know. In junior high and high school at night I would sneak out and do urban parkour, literally running and jumping through people's backyards, jumping fences, hiding in bushes and tall grass. Sounds fun. Till my life as a teenager is incredibly boring. I skipped days in my senior year of high school so often that I would not have been capable of graduating with my class. So every day that I felt like skipping, I proceeded to browse online obituaries, printed one out, and forged my dad's signature saying that they were family members of mine that had passed away. The office always accepted them and I graduated with my class. My parents will never have to know that I'm going to heck. Lots of lesbian sex. And by that I mean every single time I would go over to my friends' houses. Same. People don't even suspect girls having sleepovers like every weekend. Had sex on their bed. Fricked the couch. My brother's was amazing. When my brother was 16, my parents were living in Japan, were American, and there was no drinking age there. They lived on the 9th floor in a high-rise. When my dad would be away on business, my mother, his stepmom, would watch him. Every night he would say, "Oh Lana, I'm so tired. I'm going to go to bed," even though it was like 7 PM. He would crawl out onto the AC platform and jump from there to the fire escape 9 floors up. Then he would climb down and walk into the city where he would get plastered. When he was done drinking, he would make his way back to the apartment and do it in reverse. Climb 9 floors of fire escape, then jump and crawl in his window. More than once he missed the platform and barely hung on. Only once was he caught drinking at a bar because my dad bumped into his English teacher at a bar who told my dad, "Oh yeah, Sam is showing me all the good places in town," which is when Sam popped up with 2 fresh beers. Sam was sent home and the English teacher and my dad became lifelong friends and my godfather. He didn't reveal this, the jumping, to my father until he was 30 and lived on the opposite sides of the country from my father. Your brother was a ballsy 16-year-old. Found gay pee on my dad's computer at work. I'll just assume he is bi. When I was 16 I made out with a 33-year-old. Now that I'm 33, you hitchhike. Especially would not mention I was doing it where when a serial killer was active. His victims? Hitchhikers. When I was 15, I met an older guy on the internet. He was 20 and lived in Montreal. This was back in 2005, before meeting people online and then IRL was commonly accepted. We talked for close to a year before I decided I was going to go see him. I saved up money from my crappy part-time job, told my parents I was going camping at the beach a few hours away, and took a rideshare from Toronto to Montreal with a bunch of crust punks I'd met through a friend. The driver was a middle-aged Malaysian man who spoke almost no English. I spent a week in Montreal at this guy's apartment, did LSD for the first time, and made a number of other generally terrible decisions. Took the same rideshare back but without the crust punks. It was incredibly awkward. To this day, my parents have no idea and hopefully never will. What the frick? How did you not nope the frick out of there? Convinced a drug dealer who was way too drunk that I was selling him C and he forked over $50 that he was planning to spend on weed. It was a $3 drugstore makeup compact with setting powder. This one's a little different. I had a horrible stutter when I'd get nervous. Here's the thing. I was never nervous around my family or close friends. It would manifest only during classes or talking to people is considered above me. It was bad from 7th to 10th grade. Never talked to them about during those years or since. Well, I'm 18 and I just found out I wasted my teenage years. My now ex-boyfriend hit me. I don't mean a slap on the face, I mean I had boot prints on my back for a week. He was arrested and spent the night in jail. I told my mom we broke up for generic reasons, like I wasn't feeling it. I just didn't want her to worry about me, I guess. flew to England over the weekend. Please elaborate. I don't safely eject my USBs. It's a slippery slope from there to turning off your computer with the power button. My mom said that she started drinking at 16, so telling her I drank occasionally starting at 18 was no big deal. One time someone had just the right type of pot that made me say wow, this smells like that box my dad had when I was a kid, so they smoked pot. The fact that I tried it once is no big deal. My mom once said to me, I'm glad you didn't get pregnant in high school, so she knows I was having sex. So, nothing, I guess. Fun fact, first time I smoked weed with a friend of mine, I left the basement to get munchies and came back down and went crap. It smells like my grandfather's house, and then suddenly I made some realizations about my grandfather's love of the Grateful Dead. Got arrested for a BE, ended up getting cleared of wrongdoing. Thank frick. They still don't know, and I've steered clear of bad things ever since. Started smoking weed at age 15 summer before sophomore year with my best friend of 12 years. 2 months later we were smoking at least 3 or 4 times a day every day. As you can imagine, it became costly very quick. Over the next 2.5 years we sold about 100k and smoked roughly 20k a year. Parents knew we smoked every once in a while but had absolutely no idea about the extent of it, as we had never gotten in any legal trouble. We were both in all honors classes and had a GPA of around 3.75 upon graduation. 4 months before the end of senior year we were driving to a friend's house down a quiet country road when I noticed an undercover behind us. We had around a quad, 2 brownies, and a scale with us and had smoked recently in the car. It was a long drive, so our hearts are pounding. I continue casually and keep heading to the house in hopes of getting there, locking the doors and getting inside. He follows us for another mile and lights go on. We're fricked and freaking out. Luckily have a stash spot for the nug, but the brownies were in the back with the scale. Walks up to the window claiming I was going 75 in a 55, which was absolute bulls. Smells the weed and we're handcuffed and in the back of his car within a minute or two. Finds the brownies but not the flour, and we each take the blame for one. Brought back to the local station where they have D agents waiting to interrogate us. We realize they must have set up the whole thing and were expecting us to have a lot more than some edibles with us. We play stupid the whole time and are bailed out by the parents within an hour. Whole ordeal scared the frick out of us and we decided it was time to stop. Got away with a couple grand in legal fees each and everything is expunged by now. High school was pretty fun. One night it was like 2 AM and I still couldn't fall asleep, so I got up, walked out the door, and went for a walk, barefoot, in the rain, for 3 miles. When I got home, I went right to sleep. Not sure why it helped or why I had to leave the house, but my parents would have freaked out if they knew I could sneak around so casually. I went for night walks all the time when I was a teenager. My parents are deep sleepers and I don't think they ever knew that I was unhappy, scared, and disappointed with their parenting. I don't think I will tell them that I used drugs behind their back for 2 years. I never got caught. They never suspected a thing. I'm already the black sheep of the family. I don't need that crap. I would never want them to know how lonely and miserable I was much of the time. They did their best as parents, and I'd hate for them to think it was through a failure on their part. Attempted suicide, self-harmed, and had sex more than once in my high school band room. Invited a random internet guy over to frick me. I conned an older lady over the internet for $600 when I was 15 by saying a drug dealer was going to take my thumbs. Had it sent to my mom's work, a large company, under an anonymous name, and said I won a prize on a website. She sent a nice card with it and I spent the money on drugs. So fricked. Whenever my mom was at work, my boyfriend would come over and we would have sex. My mom recently told me that I was conceived on the bed that I lost my virginity on. Frick. They should really get a new mattress. They know about all the drugs I did, but I don't think I'll ever tell them that I drove drunk one time, and I'll never tell them how many people I slept with. LOL. But you can tell us how many people you slept with. Obvious throwaway for obvious reasons. I committed fraud. Stole credit card information from the databases of online stores. Used them to buy virtual items. WoW and RuneScape gold. then would resell the items for real money. I managed to rake in about $20,000 until I got a scare when I was in shop class. The one and only time I carded a physical item, I got a call while in class saying something I ordered was bought with a stolen credit card. I played stupid and said I would return it, which I did. Never did that crap again. Of course, being a stupid teenager, I never invested the money or saved it. I blew it all on fast food and drugs for myself and friends. If my parents found out, they would disown me. Ate a pot brownie and made out with a total stranger from the park that gave it to me. Post is 10 hours old with over 1,000 comments. Okay, I'll go. When I was 13-15, I went through a phase where I would take a stroll around the neighborhood in the wee hours of the morning, stark freaking bare-assed birthday suit necked. Drugs. Me when I see any dog. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.